In this video, I'm going to discuss the differences between training for strength versus size. A lot of beginners in the gym don't know that there's actually a big difference between training for maximum muscle growth and training for maximum strength. And to an extent, as a beginner, you don't really have to worry about this, because although there is specific ways to train for either or, overall, if you do gain muscle, you gain strength, and if you gain strength, you gain muscle. That being said, when you're training for a specific one, there is actually a massive difference in the way they train. Now I'm going to go over the 5 differences when it comes to training for strength versus size. Or if you're someone who wants to gain both strength and size at the same time, you should still watch this video to get an idea of how to do that. Now the first difference is the amount of reps that you have to do per set. When it comes to training for size, you want to do anywhere from 6 to 12 reps to failure per set. And to failure basically means to where you can't do another rep. And basically with strength, you want to do 1 to 6 reps to failure. And obviously if you're going to failure, that would be a much heavier load than the 6 to 12 reps to failure when it comes to building size. The second difference between training for strength versus size is the amount of rest time. Now when it comes to building size, you want to have a rest time of about 30 seconds to a minute and a half. And with strength training, in between sets you want to have a rest time of anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. Now the reason that there's this difference in time is because with bodybuilding or training for size, when you have quicker rest times, you have more lactic acid buildup in the muscle, which is what gives your muscle a pump. And the reason the pump is good when it comes to building muscle is because it signifies that there has been damage to the muscle. And that's actually a good thing, because when the muscle gets damaged and when it gets a proper amount of protein and calories, it's able to rebuild bigger than before. But when it comes to building strength or powerlifting, the reason you have a longer rest time is so that you can lift very heavy weights again. Because if you have a quicker rest time, you won't be able to lift those heavy weights as easily. Now it's important to lift heavy weights when doing powerlifting or strength training because it trains the nervous system to be able to lift heavier and heavier weights. Now also, as you lift heavier and heavier weights, you do gain some muscle as well, and that's why I say when you're gaining strength, you're gaining muscle, and when you're gaining muscle, you're gaining strength. Although, again, there are specific ways to train for either or. Now the fourth difference between training for strength versus size is the technique. Now when it comes to size, you want to focus more on the time under tension and the tension under stretch. Now basically what time under tension is how long you're actively doing the rep instead of sitting at the top or bottom of the rep. So a lot of people, when they do like bicep curls for example, they'll sit for a second when they have the bicep curl all the way up before doing the next rep. Now when it comes to maximum muscle growing, you don't want to do that. In fact, you shouldn't even bring the rep all the way up to the top to where you can lock out and take a second to rest. No, you should instead come about this far and then start coming back down with it. And tension under the stretch basically means how much tension or how much weight is pushing the muscle, the targeted muscle, when in the fully stretched position. So let's take the bicep curl for an example. When you are like this is the fully stretched position of the bicep. Now, if you have your arm more towards the side of your body, it doesn't get good tension because it's basically just hanging. Now, if you're doing some type of preacher curl where it's more at an angle like this, you get a lot more tension stretching the bicep. And it's been proven in countless studies that a better stretch or better tension under the stretch results in more muscle growth. But when it comes to strength building, you want to be a very explosive when coming up with the exercise, and then when you're going back down, you want to be very slow and controlled. Now, before we go to the next part of the video, if you're enjoying today's video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you like my content, make sure to subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. And the fourth difference between training for strength versus size is the type of exercises you're doing. When it comes to training for size, you want to focus more on isolation movements. Now basically what that means is that you want to focus on just one muscle group at a time. For an example, leg extensions are a isolation movement, where squats is a compound movement. And that would bring me to training for strength. Now when it comes to training for strength, you want to focus more on compound movements instead of isolation exercises. And basically what a compound movement is when you're focusing on several muscle groups at once. For example, squat, deadlift, bench press, and shoulder press. These are some of the main compound movements when it comes to strength building. Alright, so that is the 5 major differences when it comes to training for size versus strength. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to hit the like button, and if you like my content, make sure to subscribe. God bless you all, and goodbye.